Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, the Hormone Whisperer. Welcome to our Saturday morning quick tip with us today. And we've got a great topic today, something that's not taught too much because it's so simple, so easy, yet so effective, and that is grounding. Also, another term that they use all the time is earthing. Okay, so we're going to go through a very wonderful topic, and it's something that, once again, the whole idea of a quick tip is to actually now give you information that you can add to your health regimen that, for example, brings you great health benefit. The cool thing about grounding as we go through, as simple as it sounds, it's just, really doing one thing, connecting your feet to the ground. Okay, there's massive health benefits to it that way. And the one thing I love about this therapy, it's extremely cheap. Okay, so we're gonna go through a lot of things today that way because once again, I always like to bring you, and the Wellness Way always likes to bring you great information that you can use to better your health. And a lot of people say, Doc, well, it's just reconnecting to the ground. Yes, electricians understand that greatly. Because they deal with grounding all day long in their profession. And I'm going to show you, for example, how this relates so much to our health. Number one, just because I want to set the basis of this. If you think about how your body actually runs, it actually runs on electricity. If you really break us down to the smallest element, people say, well, Doc, we're cells. That's not true, okay? Cells, if you keep on breaking a cell down smaller and smaller, we're made up of little atoms. You break them apart, we're made up of just protons and electrons, and so we're just vibrations of energy that way. Well, so it's kind of cool. So as we go through this, you'll understand more and more about how important grounding really is. So before we get started, I always like to say hello to everybody that's watching. And once again, there's already a bunch of you guys on. Thank you so much for watching. Please do me a favor and let me know where you're from, because I like to get to know people intensely. So good morning, Dr. Thomas. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Juanita. Barbara. Heather, good morning. Once again, Dr. Jeremy's on. Nice to see you. Joreen. That's a neat name. Joreen. Dr. Ryan Miller. Good morning there. Emily. So Maureen is on. James. Yes. Hello, Aaron. Janelle. Good morning, Dr. Jeff Legree from Greenville. So thank you guys for popping on. Yes, I know there's more on. It's kind of funny. When I actually even do a quick tip, I can only see so many people are on there. For some reason, Brandon, we never see everybody till after the aspect that way. So good morning to all you guys. Let's get into this great topic of virtually no cost and stuff, and it's wonderful for you. Now, part one, where do we start? Well, it's kind of interesting because, as you guys know, our Wellness Way clinics are obsessed with this major term because it actually connects to so many things. So number one, with grounding, it all starts with inflammation. Now, as you guys know, inflammation, for example, if it's the biggest contributor to conditions, diseases, lifestyle things today. It's once again, it's why we do so many things, because we're all trying to find a way to actually get inflammation to its normal state. But what I want to do for you guys, because some of you guys maybe just be tuning in for the first time, some of you guys may have heard me speak a lot of times, or some of my other doctors speak. What I want to do is actually define inflammation, because this will set up how grounding actually has a major play in there that way. So number one, let's define inflammation. This is actually a great definition. Inflammation is a part of a complex biological responses of the body tissues to harmful stimulus. Okay, so that could come from so many things. Once again, if you have, let's just simply make a simple athletic thing. So let's say Dr. Thomas, who is a great hockey player. Let's say all of a sudden, and during the hockey game, he gets checked and he actually twists his ankle, or he actually hurts his wrist. There's going to be an inflammatory response. The negative stimulus came from outside and create some tissue damage. Okay? Now, by nature, for example, a bug can come in and create some tissue damage. It can be a harmful stimuli. Once again, that's said, such as pathogens, damaged cells, irritants. Once again, a food can be an irritant. A chemical can be an irritant. The pollutants in the air can be an irritant. All these things cause the body to respond with an inflammatory process. Okay, also what? And as a protective response involving immune cells, blood vessels, and molecular mediators, aka hormones. Think about this. So we get bombarded with massive amount of stressors from injuries, actually from pathogens. Also, once again, I love this, damaged cells. What do I mean by damaged cells? By nature, guys, the skin cells that you woke up this morning, actually, they will actually reproduce, split. The old ones will die. They're damaged. They get rid of them. And then what will they do? They'll bring in new ones that way. Irritants. I always tell people, be very careful, ladies, what you put on your skin, because that can be an irritant and cause actually aging that way. But let's go on a little farther. Now, the function of inflammation is to eliminate the initial cause of cell injury. Okay, think about this. There's going to be a repair process. Clear out necrotic, aka damage, free radical damaged cells, and tissues damaged from the original insult and the inflammatory process and initial tissue repair. So if you think about this, I want you to picture, for example, wrinkling. Okay, there's, for example, what we do now is we see some damaged cell. There's free radicals actually developed. And now what does that do? The free radicals actually create some damage, and then therefore the tissue actually changes that way. So when you look at, for example, here, I can give you a wonderful example to understand this a little bit different. Anytime that there's that tissue that's actually going to be, has some injury that way, there's some stress to it, and it'll start to break down. That whole breakdown process is called oxidation. What's a good way of doing it? Think about rust itself, okay? If you look at metal, it oxidizes, it starts to break down. There's free radical damage that way. Now, another great way is simple, take a bite of an apple. If you put an apple out, what happens is there's now free radical damage and it starts to oxidize, okay? And that's why you see it start to turn brown, all right? It starts to turn brown. And the reason why, for example, is this. All of our body, like talk about when that oxidative process happens, there's little free radicals, and electrons do really good when they're coupled together, okay? So when they're separated that way, that's when the free radical damage actually happens. That's when oxidative stress happens. So if you think of it this way, degeneration happens because of that oxidative stress. That happens anything from your skin to a damaged cell to a joint, okay? And that's why I tell people, if you think about a joint itself, it'll actually start to create oxidative stress and actually degenerate. Actually, on one of my favorite tests, okay, one of my favorite tests on the planet, the Dutch hormone test, they actually give the oxidative stress, the amount of free radicals, okay? Now, you guys have heard a lot of free radicals because why? Because we know, for example, free radicals can be counteracted, okay? And we're going to get on that. So here we go. So I want you to picture this. Let me break it down a little bit more for you to give you a little bit more understanding when it comes to the electrons that way. Well, if you look, for example, a healthy cell has its healthy atoms and they're coupled together. Well, all of a sudden, if there's tissue damage or even a breakdown process, once again, it loses the electron, and then that's when we have a free radical, and he's an unhappy cell. So we can come along and actually give antioxidants. Now, antioxidants, for example, are really just electron donors, okay? They actually are abundant for repair. So therefore, that cell can now repair and actually kick in and actually get some regeneration. And actually, that's why the whole inflammatory process, if it's just natural, where, for example, our skin is reproducing no cells, it breaks it down, it brings in new electrons, and actually starts to repair that area. If Dr. Thomas got hit in hockey and twisted his ankle, once again, the body's going to actually had a negative stimulus that way. The inflammatory process is going to come in. It's going to repair the process, but it needs those antioxidants. It needs those extra electrons that way. Well, which moves to this. We need to put out that fire. If you look, for example, in order to keep inflammation under control, we need an abundance. We need massive abundance of those electrons, of those antioxidants. That's why if you understand this way, a lot of people classify their foods, once again, by the antioxidant property. So for example, Brandon, you better get this right. Brandon's like, oh no, okay. So think about this, do me a favor. And now I want you to put in your comments. And if you get this right, I'm actually gonna put your name into the drawing that happens next Tuesday for a Hawaii trip. I'm gonna put it in there twice. Tell me some very high antioxidant foods. Now right now, Brandon, guess what people are doing? They're Google searching it that way. Well, here, I'm gonna wait and see if anybody pops on. Give me an example, guys, of a very high antioxidant food. Come on. So here we go, Brandon. Do we got anybody putting in there? Any comments? Come on. Come on, guys. Work. I like the interaction here. So everybody's Google searching right now to see if they have it. Or the delay of the thing. There we go. Who said that?
Heather Goodacre.
Heather, thank you. Yes, Avocados, yes. Once again, now avocados produce glutathione, which is one of the major antioxidant minerals that we have that actually have amazing properties, okay? That actually give good electron donors. Blueberries. Blueberries is actually the most common one. Very high antioxidants that way. Absolutely amazing. Now the cool thing is this. Those are foods. You can get them. So it's kind of neat. Once again, I'll show you what I'm looking at here in a second. But the idea is this. All these antioxidants, what they're really doing is bringing major electrons to actually cells for their coupling to repair. Okay? It's that simple. So that's why antioxidants have gotten such a high, a very high, plus in the health field that way. If you look at it this way, cacao, chocolate, very high antioxidants that way. So there's an abundance of foods that way that do a wonderful job of actually creating antioxidants. So you can eat antioxidants. So therefore, but she said, Doc, but here's what happens. We're on the subject of grounding. Yes. See, one of the greatest things that actually can give you massive amount of antioxidants that is actually free and where we can get those electrons from is what? Grounding. Grounding is the largest free source of antioxidants on the planet. All you have to do to absorb those electrons through your feet, Brandon, don't probably see my feet, from my feet, okay, through my feet that way, is actually grounding. Now you say, Doc, you don't have any shoes on right now. Okay, the reason why I don't have any shoes on is I will show you, okay? Here's what happens. Actually, I have these all over the office. We live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Guess what? Yes, I do force my docs and my staff and stuff like that to walk outside on the ground. Why? It's snowy out there. We can absorb that. But you'll see a lot of us run around through the office without any shoes on because this is a grounding pad. And guess where this little cord goes to? This little cord goes to actually the outlet. Like I told you, electricians understand grounding completely. They actually have to do what? A grounding to the outlet just runs and grounds actually to the earth. Okay, that's why the term earthing came from. Actually, once again, I have no ties to this company, but I get my grounding pads from earthing.com, okay? Once again, there's probably other places out there. I just like earthing that way. I got to see the owner speak at a conference one time. Very impressed with his work that way. But the cool thing is this. So I'm standing on an earthing pad all the time. Once again, so I'm now grounded to it. I'm absorbing, even just by my hands touching this, I'm absorbing the electrons from the ground. This is the cheapest source of antioxidants you can have. Now, here's the cool thing is, guys, if you live down like Dr. Brenda or down by some of the docks that are on right now, down south, Dr. Jeff Legree's on right now from Greenville, he can walk outside right now. He doesn't need an earthing pad. You live up here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where it's cold 6-7 months out of the year. You don't want to walk outside with, your stuff, your feet on the ground because you're going to freeze, okay? So you don't need to buy a grounding pad. Just walk outside. It's the most abundant free source of antioxidants on the plants. You think antioxidants are expensive? Yes, go buy organic blueberries all the time, especially if you live in Wisconsin. Very expensive. But this is free. It's unbelievable. Very cheap source that way. And it's kind of neat. You think I'm joking? There's a lot of people that start to ground and they can even feel some changes in their body right away because there's a reduction in inflammation. Okay, they've done wonderful studies. See, it's been documented quite well. But once again, I always tell people, they're not going to do a ton of research on it because you know why? It's free. It don't cost you anything. That's because I say, Doc, but you bought a grounding pad. Yes, I did. I bought a grounding pad because I live in Wisconsin. Now, to show you some of the research they did, it's kind of cool. They actually took and did thermography, measuring the amount of inflammation within people. And they did and then put them on an earthing pad, grounded them for about 30 minutes, and redid it that way. And there was a significant amount reduction in inflammation. Now, that's key. Guys, we know this. Inflammation, for example, is the stem. It's the start of almost any chronic disease on the problem, okay, or any chronic disease on the planet, okay? So the idea is this. Grounding is one ways of prevention. And guess what? It's free. I'm going to keep on saying it. It's free. Go outside, spend some time out in nature, put your feet on the earth, take your shoes off. It's kind of hilarious because your soles of your shoes don't let it connect. There's a disconnect. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to go visit New York City. There's people, for example, that never get outside. There's people, for example, that are on 3rd, 4th, 20th floor their whole life that way. That's where you got to get some grounding pads, because even you might live on the 20th floor, you can actually do grounding actually through your outlet that goes right into the ground and get those electrons up there for wonderful things. Now, here's the cool part that I do like. This is the major science behind the understanding, not only for me as a hormonal person, but I get to travel a lot. Now, we do have something that's so important called our circadian rhythm. It's actually the rhythm of our cortisol pattern. It's a rhythm of our hormone patterns. It's actually a rhythm of our sleep. And for example, if you look, they cycle through the day. That's why I always say, Doc, you say that men and women cycle. Yes, women cycle monthly, but they also cycle daily. So do men. We have a circadian rhythm. What happens is our peak of our hormones actually range anywhere from 6 to 7 to 8 o'clock around that time. That's why it's a very good time for us to get up. But this whole circadian rhythm, actually about 4 in the morning, guess what happens? Our whole hormonal rhythm comes up, and through the day it dissipates, and actually between 9 and 10 is our lowest point. Imagine that. When should we actually get to bed? Is between 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then once again, it starts to gradually come up after midnight, and about 4 a.m. it really starts to increase, and it peaks, like I said, between 6 and 8, depending on the individual that way. This whole circadian rhythm actually is controlled by a lunar cycle. It's controlled and actually can be mapped out actually by grounding. I travel a lot. That's where you see jet lag. If you want to adapt to actually the area that you're at, so I'm in 3 weeks, I'll be in Hawaii. Actually, 3 weeks from today, I'll actually be in Hawaii. When I get off the plane, the first thing I want my body to do is adapt to the whole circadian rhythm of actually the time zone that way. So that's why if you talk about grounding and jet lag, I'm going to get off there. I'm kicking my sandals off, and I'm actually going to stand right outside the airport, okay? Get my feet on the ground and actually just soak up those electrons. Because here's what happens. When the sun actually comes up in the morning, it starts pounding the earth with actually free electrons. Okay, and as it goes up and as the sun comes down, there's less. So you can actually adapt your body. So that whole first day, what I will do is during certain times of the day, I'll make sure that I'm grounding so my body adapts hormonally to the whole circadian rhythm of my time zone that way. It does a wonderful job. Once again, actually that's how I can travel from time zone to time zone. Even we're going to go back 5 hours and I can actually get good sleep. Because here's what they did. Once again, here we go. They did a sleep study. Okay, they, for example, did this. They took people from all areas of the world that way and actually measured their whole circadian rhythm. They measured their cortisol, their stress hormone profiles, and they were all over the place. And then what they did was this. They grounded them, okay? And actually it's kind of cool. They actually gave them grounding pillows, and they gave them grounding, because yes, it's not a joke. You can actually get a grounding mattress. You can get a grounding pillow, because you can actually now start to adapt to the environment that you're in. And guess what happened? Their whole cortisol profile went from actually all over the place, scattered, to actually the area that they're studied. And they came from all over the world. It was quite cool. See, the cool thing is this, that whole circadian rhythm can actually be adapted and changes by the electrons coming from the ground. And it puts you in a less stressed state. So if you think of it this way, you know, I tell you all the time, stress will kill women faster than anything that way. Ladies, it's so important for you to ground. It costs nothing. Kick your shoes off, you know what I'm saying? Walk outside, put that feet on the ground, and just let those high abundance of electrons be absorbed by your body. It's absolutely amazing. It's simple. It's cost effective. And the cool thing is this, watch. This is not a joke. Start doing this and start watching your stress levels. Start doing it and start watching your sleep pattern that way. You'll start to notice that you'll start to fall asleep earlier. You'll have a little deeper sleep. Actually, the nice part also too, if you start to ground on a regular basis that way, you'll start to notice that you'll start to have a little bit more energy in the morning that way, because that whole circadian rhythm starts to balance out. I believe, for example, in my personal opinion, that this is one of the most simple and cost-effective, and actually one of the most important things, because so many people's hormonal rhythm is off. It is. I measure cortisol levels constantly that way. Our clinics all over the country measure those cortisol levels constantly, and you can see that their whole rhythm is all over the place. I'm like, get outside, take your shoes off, and sit there, but through multiple parts of the day. Here, this is how I usually start my morning routine. I like to get up right away in the morning, even before the sun's coming up, and get out there and get out there and ground and watch the sun come up. So not only the fact am I grounded, but when that sun comes up, once again with that circadian rhythm, we start to absorb those electrons, and it'll start that whole hormonal pattern. And then at nighttime, no joke, at nighttime I also like to be able to go out there and ground through the afternoon and through the nighttime and actually bring that circadian rhythm down. You sleep better, okay? Sometimes we spend way too much time on the inside of a house that way. Guys, guess what? Your wood floors, your concrete, you can't ground through that way. The soles of your shoes, you can't ground. You need to kick your shoes off and actually get there, even in the cold weather. Yes, you can see pictures of, once again, one day Ross and Dr. Jason and I walked outside in the snow because, yes, guys, guess what? You still do absorb those electrons. You still do absorb those antioxidants by actually going right on the ground in the snow, for example, in the spring, in the winter, in the fall. And the cool thing is this, the time zones on a regular basis change. The amount of actually, if you think of it this way, during winter, you're going to find out actually that you're going to do what? You're going to find yourself actually wanting to go to bed a little bit earlier because, once again, the whole rhythm of the lunar cycle changes through the course of the year. So it's kind of neat. Simple. What I want you guys to do is this. We're going to, wherever you are across the United States, Brandon right now is actually there. Do me a favor, we're going to put a challenge out there. What I want you guys to do on this video is go outside, take your phone, take a picture of you grounding outside, and send me a picture, and we will put your name actually in the drawing for next Tuesday 5 times. So your chance of just posting the picture. So take a picture, take a phone, foot on the ground, actually grounding. Let us know where you're at, and actually Brandon will spend a lot of time today printing your name out, put into the drawing for next Tuesday for the Hawaii trip, because let me tell you this, how much grounding do you think me, my wife Christy, Ross, and all the team is going to get in Hawaii? We're going to be grounding all the time. But the funny thing is, we're going to go right now, it's 7:22 in Green Bay, it's only 2:22 in Hawaii where we're going. So guess what? Our bodies have to adapt to that whole rhythm. Otherwise, guess what? It'll throw us off physically, it'll throw us off hormonally, it'll throw off our sleep pattern, and that's not good for your health. The cheapest aspect when you travel, or even just in general that way, is get your feet to the ground and get that rhythm back the way it belongs. Simple, easy, cost effective. So, there we go. I love all the comments we got here. Thank you guys so much. Actually, that's a good point. How long should you ground for? As long as possible, okay? Now, I would say, for example, if you're out there for just a couple minutes, you're going to get an abundant amount of antioxidants by doing it that way. You get an abundant amount. Just like I said, it really what comes down to is the timing. The best time to actually get out there is early in the morning when the sun is there, when it's coming up that way. Like I said, go back to your circadian rhythm. Let's go back here, Brian. Let's actually run with that. Let's go back to this. This is the normal pattern. The highest amount of electrons available are actually when the sun comes up and starts beating on the earth that way, okay? And then you want to bring them up, because that's when you need the most. That's when your body wants to absorb them and get all those levels up very high, okay? So I'd say the most important time would be between 6 and 8 a.m., all right? Now, don't wrong, you can do it earlier. I'm up way before 6 o'clock. So I'm actually, no joke, guys, I woke up at 3:10, something just jacked up and came here and started working that way. Gave my beautiful bride a kiss on the forehead and came in and started working and could have just an awesome day. But no joke, why actually the sun was coming up here, I went outside. Yes, in the cold, and yes, we had about 6 to 8 inches of snow the other day, and I actually got right on the ground for about a minute and stood there, and yes, was it cold? It was. My toesies were a little frozen that way, and then I ran inside and once again put my socks back on. But then once I came in here, I also threw on our grounding pad. Like I said, I've been standing on our ground pad the whole time. It's kind of neat because this may be a whole nother discussion, but when you're on a grounding pad absorbing those electrons, it actually does a better job of actually repulsing EMF, electromagnetic frequency, from your body when you do that, okay? That's a whole nother talk because I would like to have a gauge here to show you the difference that way. So grounding is so important that way. So, Brandon, any more questions on there?
That was the only big question. I have a question about babies.
Yes.
Would babies sleep better if this was done in the evening?
Actually, yes. Here, the cool thing is this. You can go to all the places. I just like earthing.com. Like I said, once again, if you actually use my name, they would have no idea who I am. Actually, I just make some orders from there that way. They actually have pillowcases, they actually have mattresses, they actually have pads, they actually have all the things that way that you can ground that way to actually do it. So yes, if you took a sheet or stuff and put it in a baby's crib, that would actually have them have a little better sleep that way. So yes, it does work. We actually have them, like I said, it's kind of cool. If you see my bed, you'll see my wife has her pillowcase, I have mine. It goes right to the outlet that way and it doesn't go into a plug-in. It's a little one prong that only goes into the grounding area. People are like, you plug in your pillow, you get radiation. No. It's just the grounding one that way, so we actually get the electrons come first. Just the grounding aspect, not the other. We don't want the positive stuff coming into our head, keeping us up that way. So yeah, great question about babies. No one's ever asked that question. Who asked that question? Mary, great question. No one has ever asked that in all stuff I've taught before. So, yes, Wanda, goji berries do have high antioxidants, so great job. Brandon will put your name in a little extra that way. So do me a favor, guys. Take a picture of you grounding. Please post it below. Let us know where you're from so we can see the area that way. And Brandon will spend a lot of time today over this weekend putting your name in that box, the box sitting over there, for the drawing on Tuesday, April 10th for the big Hawaii trip that way. It's kind of cool. Someone's going to win. I don't know. Ross is going to pull it on Tuesday that way, so we're going to find out who's going to be the big winner. I'm just going to be sitting right here during our show and letting him pick out of the box that way, and we'll see it. And everyone gets a chance to win. It's kind of nice, so definitely get your name in there. Post it. I'd like to see where you're from. It'd be great to see your area. It'd be great for you to see somebody up in Canada or somewhere really cold, go out there doing the grounding. It's easy for you guys in Florida and Texas and all stuff like that. Dr. Katie posted on there in Hawaii. Yeah, it's kind of easy to do grounding when it's not cold anymore. When you take this seriously, you're going to go out in the cold or actually in the warm and do it. So once again, my name is Dr. Patrick Flynn. Thank you so much. There is a lot of you watching. Thank you. I'm always humbled. I'm always thankful that you guys actually enjoy our information. And that's what the Wellness Way does. The Wellness Way clinics bring information to people all over the world constantly on a regular basis that way. And I'm thankful that you jumped on this beautiful Saturday morning to share something simple that we do not only as individuals, but as practitioners to give you another thing that you can do to make your health better. So my name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, the Hormone Whisperer. I will see you at our next quick tip next week, but we'll definitely watch for the Dr. Patrick Flynn show next Tuesday to enter the drawing to go to Maui with us. Actually, Maui, and our hormone seminar we're doing out there May 1st. Have a great morning.